As usual, I'm at the lovely Nairobi Street Kitchen and I have one of my bestest friends to join me on Unlock Your Soul with yours truly, Anto Neosoul. Today, we're really going to unlock your soul because, I never have a topic or theme for any conversation, but today I have one. And somebody sent me a reel. Actually, it was George Gashara who sent me a reel. And the lady was asked a question that is such a phenomenal question. She was asked, how was your life uninterrupted? And I have literally the poster child for life when it's interrupted and what that means to the human core and the human being. I'm with one of my very good friends, a lovely, beautiful soul in and out, the world's biggest Manchester City fan. And Juma there, by the way, is a footballer. So I don't know. What team do you support? Yeah, she's. By the way, you know what I thought? Ati Égo loves football. I thought it was one of those. She just loves. Wait, she's got like season tickets to go watch Man City. By the way, don't play. Look, my goodness, like she's British, so she doesn't play when it comes to like football. And when she was in London, she asked me, what do I want? So to piss her off, I told her, buy me something from Man U. Let me tell you, she told me, Anto, I have never entered a shop and bought something so quickly and left the shop. And by the way, she was wearing a Man City jersey in a Manchester United shop. So you can imagine how much she loves Man City. But also in terms of love, I think she has an understanding of what love is because she's gone through the ends of the world to be who she is today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the very indomitable Égo Obi. Obi. Is that how you pronounce it? Obi. What does Obi mean?
King.
For real?
It means king.
What does Égo mean? Yeah.
My full name actually means this child is greater than wealth.
This child is greater than wealth. Were you born in a bougie or poor or like, what kind of background were you born in? Because, no offense, only a poor parent would call you Égo Obi.
Okay.
They'll be like, listen, we may not have money, but this child will be greater than the wealth.
Okay. All right. Maybe that's a myth because they weren't poor.
So it is possible.
And poor and then poor is relative then. It depends on what you mean.
Yeah.
Poor in spirit.
Poor, yeah. Okay.
Right? You know what I mean?
Were you poor in this one or just in spirit? Bougie people! Hey, they have a bougie person. He's even dressed up for you when we are matching. And one of our very close friends, who's her BFM, we're talking about women and the workplace and generally navigating life and having close people around you. Is called Dorothy Orko, who's one of my biggest corporate supporters. When I mean that, and not to remove her as a human being, but also someone who works for an organization that has always had my back. So a big shout out to Dorothy Orko, who I also know is your BFF.
Yes, she is.
And Égo, let's start off fast by, growing up Nigerian but British. How was it, growing up British and Nigerian?
Okay. All right. So it's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very welcome.
It's an honor, actually.
Oh, I've waited to have you here.
I jumped at the opportunity. So,
by the way, she should be at work, but she's here with
No,
me.
actually, no. It's my first day off.
Oh, yeah.
And this is it until the new year.
Awesome.
Okay,
I
so
love it.
I'm not
So now we're
striving.
going to spend more time together.
Yes.
Awesome. Are you traveling? Are you leaving?
Yes. Next weekend.
God. So before then,
Okay.
we're going to hang out.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So I was born in the UK of Nigerian parents. My youth or my early years was spent in the UK.
Yeah.
But when you're of African descent, I wouldn't just say Nigerian.
Yeah.
When you're of African descent, you never really forget who you are or where you're from. So growing up in the 70s, there weren't that many black people in our neighborhood, or maybe not even in England, right?
Yeah.
My parents came to England for university, and then, of course, they had us.
Yeah.
As a child, I think I mentioned this to you when we went to Mlango Farm.
Yeah.
During those times, of course, you know you're a black child and you come from an African family, but interacting in school and other places, playground, school, you never forget that, right? Because you're made to remember. You're called dirty, you're called, like you have mud on you, go have a bath. But home was my solace. My home was full of love. It was full of laughter. It was full of support, encouragement. So little did I know then, of course, you're a 5-year-old or 6-year-old.
Yeah.
You don't know that all this, what you experience at home shapes who you are, right? And then just kind of having the love and support of family and my parents and uncles and aunties, everybody's uncle, everybody's auntie, whether they're related to you or not, telling you it's okay, it doesn't matter. So you forget. It's almost like when I get home, I shut off the outside world. And, it's, you go through bullying, through taunting, but I always knew that it was only for a season, like a few hours you spend in school or you spend in the playground and you go home. So
that's also being African, is that you sort of have the spirit of you just don't give up.
You don't. And it's what's instilled in us, right? So those values of, and I remember my mom always used to tell me, always do the right thing no matter what, right? So regardless of what was happening to you, don't retaliate because you're the bigger person. That's really what it means. And if we actually go to my desk right now, I have it written on a piece of paper on my desk, always do the right thing. So it doesn't matter. It matters what people do. I mean, as an adult, there's so many ways you can actually deal with that now. But as a kid, the only way you could understand is my parents have said to me, do the right thing. So you grin and bear, and then you get home and there's a lot of love, laughter, joy. So it didn't really matter. So those values of respect, integrity, contentment was kind of the fabric that wove through our family, our Nigerian family, with amazing food.
And also, speaking of Nigerian families, and since you brought it up, an amazing food, I hear that you can cook up a storm. So why is it that I've never enjoyed your food? Please explain to me why I'm suffering with bland Kenyan food.
No, don't worry. I'll invite you. So the thing is, though, I consider myself a social person, and I love laughter, fun. So I cook for people, but when it's myself, I just can't be bothered.
It's like,
I just make a salad or make a smoothie or eat at work. But I'm a good cook who learned to cook in her 30s.
Oh, wow. But also the lesson here is that it's never too late to learn.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
You, coming from, but now we have to, I mean, apart from being African, but really coming from a Nigerian family, you had to excel. Nigeria, no, they carry last.
At all.
There's no... You're not bringing bees in my house.
No.
Or it's okay, you can be comfortable. Let's be comfortable. There's no bringing bees and the Maina says in my house.
No, A's, yeah.
So did that sort of experience or upbringing sort of determine that you really had to be good as far as books are concerned, ending up in tech, but also, I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, but one of the most powerful people on Google is that as a process of your upbringing?
I would say, I think it's a combination of upbringing and, personality. I think your last guest mentioned something about personality or character, right? So, of course, I think some of those qualities are actually innate in us. But then, of course, coming from a Nigerian family, you have to do well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an unpleasant experience, right? And I actually used it in my favor when I was younger. I was considered smart then. I was very good with maths. And I realized that I could actually gain favor and get away from doing chores by being so smart. And I wasn't pompous or arrogant about the fact that I did well.
Listen, I'd rather go do homework than wash this house. So
Yes.
I'll go work on my math.
Yeah, exactly. So I realized that I actually got a lot of brownie points and I got excluded from a lot of things. Maybe that's why I couldn't cook as a child. I love to read.
Yeah.
I was very good with numbers. My dad was very good with numbers. So it was almost, of all of us, actually, I think I was the strongest in maths and took on challenges. And I think I became his favorite because of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sibs. So they would push. So it's like I said, it wasn't a bad experience.
Yeah.
It's encouraging you. And my parents were educated. So we could see the benefits of being educated, right? Through their standing in the community or their jobs, right? So, and you want to do well. There's a lot of praise. And even when you didn't do well, it wasn't so bad, but we grew up wanting to do right by them, not to please them, but to do right by them because we knew it made them proud and we felt good. We were praised. We were... we had treats, we had experiences, from a very young age, we do picnics, we travel, and that was all because we did well, right? So it wasn't the stick over your head to say you have to do well. In cases where either myself or my siblings didn't do well, there'd be a tutor to kind of coach you. And then, of course, you get 98, and then they say to you, 98%, what happened to the other 2?
Wow.
What happened to the other 2%?
And you're thinking, what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or, you came second. The person who came first, do they have 2 heads?
Yeah.
Of course they don't.
Exactly.
But you look back now and as much as it shapes who you are, but I think it takes a certain kind of person for that upbringing, that way of life to either make or break you.
Yeah.
Some kids maybe aren't wired that way to see it as a push or an encouragement. Some may see it as too much pressure.
Exactly. Or traumatizing.
Traumatizing, right? So I think it's a combination of both.
This conversation reminds me about Bob Hart's Abishola, that show. And Bob walks in and they want to look at the kid's report card. And his report card has a B. And the guy's like, okay, that's good. And the African side of the family is like, what do you mean? B, our family, you have disgraced us. And he's thinking, what? Disgraced? It's a B.
Yeah.
But, we don't take... But also, I get... But also, our parents really do prepare us that, especially being of African descent, that nobody's going to give you anything for being a big kid.
Exactly.
And it's not the idea of having A's on your report card, but excellence.
Exactly.
That you should really push to excel in everything that you do.
Exactly. And there's so many avenues to succeeding in life. It could be down the academic path. It could be down the non-academic path, right?
Yes.
They're the creatives, for example. You don't have to go to university to get some of those things. Even these big tech founders, some of them actually didn't go to university, right? However, especially if you're outside of your region, to do well, to stand out, to even get a chance, that's just the baseline, first degree, second, and sometimes a third degree, right? So, and it's really preparing us. They experienced it either in a foreign land or even at home due to, colonial times, right? So they want the best for their kids. And there needs to be a balance so that it doesn't break a child.
I had a conversation with my mom. You know how when you get older, you sort of begin to have real conversations with your parents. And I asked her, why did you used to push us so much? I mean, for me, it was like I feel sometimes you're doing the most. And when my mom explained, because when your kids, parents don't explain context. They see tomorrow. They don't expect you to let me explain to you what happened. No. So my mom explained to me how her mom, my grandmother, had to sell, illicit brew for them to even just stay in school and survive.
Wow.
And so for my grandmother, if you didn't stay in school, she would beat the crap out of. She would beat. I mean, she's thinking, I'm selling illicit brew.
Yeah, she had to.
I'm running up and down, trying to run away from cops.
She had to sacrifice.
And then
a
you
lot,
don't
yes.
read, so
yeah.
And then the fact that she couldn't also take you so far. She could give you the basics. After that, you're on your own. So the idea of you flunking and not caring or not doing enough would bother her. Like,
Yes,
do you
of
understand
course.
what is
Yeah,
at stake?
yeah, yeah.
So people have to understand that sometimes for our parents, it really comes from a good place. So now, I mean, you have kids of your own, but then, you're also moving up the ladder in terms of what you're doing. How do you end up working for big tech, and how has that journey been for you as a woman of African descent?
I mean, it's not been easy, especially so my working career has always been in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, a year ago I moved to Kenya.
Yeah.
And then a few years ago I worked in Ghana for 2 years. So really, of my entire 25 years of working in the corporate world, only 3 has been in the region. I mean, it's tough. It's still very tough for our women of color today to rise through the ranks. To push yourself, you have to push yourself. You have to be seen, you have to be heard, but you have to be diplomatic in doing that, right? So, going or working in a place where you're the only, be it the only woman or the only woman of color or the only woman of color in tech, it's difficult, right? But some of the grounding, the foundation that I had growing up, I think it actually, and of course other life experiences along the way, actually makes you a stronger person.
Yeah.
And then of course, when you start your career early, you have to do well, you have to position yourself in a way that you can rise through the ranks. So things like always show up. When you show up, be seen, be heard. Look to solving problems. Because I find that, when I talk to people who are in tech or people who join my company or some people I mentor, they always talk about being promoted. But I think it's more than that, right? If you show up authentically, if you do your job, if you look to solving problems, and through doing that, you build a network, you manage upwards, you're excellent, you show, you display excellence in what you do. There's no way you won't get noticed without realizing your network is growing. Your peers lower than you, above you, and execs, right? And then promotion comes. I'm not saying don't work for it, but that shouldn't be front and center, because what that means is you don't have the depth and breadth of what it takes to actually advance in your career.
My goodness. Égo, I know we spent like a whole day with you making fun of Manu. I didn't know you were this. Now I understand why you're a global leader and you've been just holding yourself and but then for someone of your stature, without being judgmental, I would assume, you sort of have everything figured out. I'm gonna move from this level. My family, I'm hoping we can do this. We can go on holiday, we can make certain investments. And then life decides to just throw you the big C word, big curveball. That literally disenfranchises anyone who comes into contact with it. We're talking about cancer. What happened when your life became interrupted with this big C word?
That question, right? Your question.
And also, who are you uninterrupted? Because then you realize, oh my God, I'm actually not as strong as I thought. I don't believe in God as much as I thought, because why me? Who were you before you were interrupted by cancer?
Okay, so who was I? So just the end part. I think I'm a different person, but when you have that, when you have a strong foundation, I think these storms, such as cancer, can destabilize you. So I'll tell you so when I found out, fortunately I was with a friend of mine and I actually didn't want to go for the test. I'm like, I'm too busy. I was working in London. The hospital was in Manchester, so I had to travel back.
Yeah.
Anyway, had the test and then they said, come back for further tests.
Yeah.
I didn't even think.
Which is always never a good sign, but probably if you're aloof, you'll be like,
Yeah. I've always been a positive. I've always had positive mindset. So I never think the worst. Why would I think the worst when I can think the best, right? So anyway, showed up, and I was told you have cancer.
Wow.
Actually, I didn't freak out. My friend was there.
Yeah.
So fortunately, also, I'm a logical person. Like you said, I'm a planner.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I didn't plan for this. So I'm thinking ahead. What does this mean? How far is it? What's the cause? And, what next, right? So they went through all of it. So I'm asking all the questions. And they're saying, okay, we have to start treatment in 3 weeks, no longer than 3 weeks.
Wow.
So it didn't actually hit me. I didn't think of anything. The only feeling I can recall was feeling deflated, like a balloon. Like you let the air out of a balloon. And at one point, the oncologist had to ask me, do you understand
What is happening? Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think I gave like a snotty remark, and I said, I'm highly educated. I know exactly
like
what you're saying.
whatever happens,
I understand what you're saying. Anyway, so they had to start treatment 3 weeks after that. And I said, is it okay to travel?
Yeah.
And they said, yes. I'm like, boom. As soon as I got home, well, on the way, because my friend was driving, I booked a 10-day holiday to the Bahamas.
Wow.
Because I'm like, okay, I know this is going to be a difficult time. I never met anyone close who had cancer. But right? You know how difficult it can be. And I was ready for an unknown journey. So I couldn't say I prepared. The only thing I did intentionally was to cut my hair. So I had hair as long as yours.
Yeah, I remember
locks.
you told me you had really long locks.
Yeah, so I shaved it off because chemo basically wipes you out.
Yeah.
It takes, you lose your hair.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is one thing I can control. I'll control that, but I couldn't control anything else.
Wow.
And then the reality kind of hit because I had to, move to the family home in Manchester and then start to organize things really quickly. I think I had like a few days to move my life from London back to Manchester to start. And then it started to hit you. I'm usually I still am outgoing. I'm self-sufficient. I'm driven. I can do things for myself.
Yeah.
But then you become very vulnerable and helpless, actually. And then I realized, actually, as I go through the journey, I'm not going to be able to drive myself. I can't do housework. I can't do anything myself.
Yeah.
So the planner that I am, using Google Sheets, I created a sheet, all my appointment dates, and my announcement to the world, which is my circle of friends and family, was, this is the situation.
Who's doing what?
Yes.
Who's driving me? Who's cooking for me? Yeah.
Yep. And I said, here's the help I'll need, because you do things yourself. You don't ask for help. But I realized that this 6-month journey is going to be tough, right? So had a spreadsheet. I said, I need 2 chaperones every visit.
Yeah.
Cooking, cleaning, you name it, right? I need the help. Within hours of opening that sheet, it was oversubscribed. People were scrambling for space. I had friends come from all over the world.
Yeah.
San Francisco, Canada, Nigeria, Ghana, you name it. Come to be with me on their allotted times, right? And then towards the tail, and then COVID hit. So, of course, it became very difficult.
Yeah.
We had the lockdown, nobody could be there with me. But I think in terms of personality, outlook on life, I wouldn't say that has changed.
Yeah.
And I consider myself a social butterfly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. The one thing that I would say has changed is I actually appreciate, not that I didn't before, I appreciate life a lot better, a lot more than I did before.
Especially the quality of life that we live.
The quality, little things. You know, like how, you know, you're in the corporate world, you're going. You don't stop to notice little things. So I would say I see life differently, and I'm just grateful for life. Every day I say, you know, may today be kind to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not a given, right? And then I think I'm also more accommodating, you know, because I'm not a perfectionist, because it's not a compliment.
Yeah.
But because I'm so driven, and I'm driven to excellence. I want to do the best. I want to do good all the time. Well, drive excellent, or be excellent all the time. Sometimes I'm a bit impatient with, you know, people who are, you know, kind of lax and complacent, and, you know.
We call them now, since now you know a lot of Swahili, but I'll teach you a sheng. We call them mblainers.
Mblainers.
You see, from complainer?
Yeah.
So mblainer.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the boys laughing.
You know, like you have so much.
It's like, oh, let's meet. Oh, you know, I'm like, why are you complaining?
It's raining.
Just come.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you know?
let's go watch a game. Oh, you know me, I think we should.
Yeah.
Why are you complaining? You don't even know if I have something good for you. You're just complaining.
Or, you know, negative and complain, and, you know, being entitled.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, the food today in the office, it has too much salt. And you're like, bring your food tomorrow into the office.
Season with the extra pepper and
you
just
know?
keep quiet.
Yeah, so
you know?
I think I have a bit more tolerance and patience, because some of the people I kind of sat in the ward with, not everyone made it.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I'm still standing, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm more tolerant, and I extend grace.
Yeah.
And I assume good intention. It doesn't matter. You know, cut in front of me all you like. I'm not going to lose my peace. I'm not going to lose my joy.
Yeah, that's a thing you learn when you go to therapy.
Yes, exactly.
When you realize you're not really even angry about your upbringing or whatever. It's just certain value system that you need to have that needs to change.
Yeah,
like getting angry over everything and everyone for everything. I mean, just extend grace and then move on.
Yeah, move on.
Did you ever envision a moment where all this was gone?
Like
when you're at the ward and you're thinking, what if I don't make it?
Yeah, I did. I had a few close calls. You know, but for me, it was always my heart had to be right every day before I left to go for treatment, because you couldn't make it. At one time, I had a bad reaction. I was actually having a heart attack. They needed to reverse. But fortunately, I'm very observant. And I think I would call it a gift. My body speaks to me. I know when something is off. If I have something that doesn't sit with me, I immediately know and I take action. So I wasn't second guessing, like, oh, I'm not sure, or I don't want to disturb the nurses or the doctors.
Nope.
I'm like, something is happening. My heart is racing.
Yeah.
And they're like, how does it feel?
Yeah.
And by the time I described it, it was like code yellow.
Wow.
You know, they had to give some injection to reverse, and like all the doctors rushed there.
Yeah.
So I knew. And so that's why I say I never take anything for granted. I don't take the day for granted. The fact that we woke up, that's a gift.
Yeah.
When I ask a colleague of mine, his name's Mzamo. Do you know Mzamo? In South Africa.
Yes.
How are you, Mzamo? He goes, I woke up. And that so resonates with me, because we take a lot for granted. So what? I don't have socks because I'm cold.
Exactly.
I woke up though.
Yeah.
Put the blanket.
But also not even that I don't have socks. I don't have Reebok socks.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Like, where are my Louis V socks?
Yes,
what?
exactly,
What?
exactly. So, there were moments where I had close calls, but I'm just very grateful that I'm still here, and I want to be the best version of myself. One thing that I've always been authentic, but I'm very intentional now about what I do, about the choices that I make, because I may not be here tomorrow. So make right now, count. You show up, you show up. Like if you ask me next week, what were the colors and the patterns of what you're wearing now, I could tell you because I'm paying attention
in the
to
moment.
in the moment, being present.
Yeah, but I think this is one of the reasons why we ended up actually connecting, because when you even mentioned that, you know, you'd survived cancer, you'd conquered cancer. I mean, I feel like everyone from that bus was like, did you hear what she said? And me, actually, I remember even actually walking closer to yours, like, now I want to hear her story. Because who talks like this is so interesting. And but also one of the things, just that nonchalance about it, and not from a place of, you know, whatever. It was more from
a place of gratitude.
Gratitude. Like, you guys, let's not complain about how long this trip is. I've been through worse. Like, I've been through longer journeys and trips. But also something else comes out very strongly is your network, but also here in terms of the human connection that you make with people, and not just, you know, because I met you at a boardroom or because we had a Zoom meeting, you know, like you owe me or I owe you, but you've made genuine connections, genuine friendships. When I speak to you on WhatsApp and you reply in Swahili, I mean, I can just tell the genuineness that you have towards the people around you, towards the cultures around you, the respect and love that you have for everyone around you. That's, I think, one of the reasons why people were very quick to jump and just be like, what can we do for you? How can we support you?
Yeah.
But it's also a lesson for a lot of people to learn, to be kind, to extend kindness, to be humane. Because when we do need this, it will come back to us.
Absolutely.
When you look at where you've worked in terms of London, when you look at working in Ghana and in Kenya, and you look at how different the cultures are, how important is it for us to have a tribe that we can vibe with, a tribe of people who remind us of what it means to be human and to be humane?
So, you know, having a tribe, you know, I would say I'm blessed to have a tribe in every continent but the Antarctica. Right?
Nice one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, who goes there? Where? Who's there?
Exactly. Right. So, you know, it's really. So I have a bubbly personality. I'm very positive.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'm positive to a point where people don't like me because I see the positive in things. I'm not saying
I've had those scenarios where people are like, no, but you don't have to. I'm like, no, I can.
I can
choose to
yes,
say
it's a choice.
No,
it's a choice.
This is why people are always taking advantage of. I'm like, no, because I know exactly why I shouldn't be screaming and shouting now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that, and then it's that you know, like empathy, and one of my core values is respect, integrity. When you ask my friends or family, one of the words they would use to describe me, dependable. I'm dependable. I show up. I show up for myself, but I show up for people. And it's not to be liked. It doesn't matter whether you like me or not.
Exactly.
I don't please that way. You take me for who I am. I'm a flawed human being like everybody else. But I show up for people, and by showing up, by respecting, by extending grace, I think it creates that that feeling of, you know, no matter what, she has my back. So yeah, and then I'm not afraid to make friends. I would make the move. You know, like you know, you go to certain places and people are like, they don't want to.
They're so stuck up. Like, who's gonna say hi fast?
Exactly.
She looks like she's from my country, but I'm not gonna go and
In Nigeria,
with these African foreheads.
In Nigeria, they call it forming.
Forming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, don't just sit there. Do something.
Yeah. So you know, I'm who I am.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes people may think, oh, dumb down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would never dumb down for someone else to shine. So because I put people first, I'm a people person, human-centered approach, right? I think it kind of gains me friends.
Yeah.
People can trust me. People can depend on me.
Yeah.
And we kind of develop friendships, and it's your tribe, really.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I've only been here for a year. Although, I mean, I knew Dorothy well before, you know, but I've made a lot of friends. I've made friends, but I'm also very intentional about how and who,
Yeah.
right? Because what you don't want is for someone to empty your cup, your positivity cup.
Yeah.
You know, drain,
Yeah.
and then, you know,
and then you're not doing anything about it. And remember,
Exactly.
the lesson that she was to listen to your body.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
like this isn't a good
Yes.
relationship.
Yeah.
I should either stop it,
Yes,
talk about it, or
exactly.
move out of it.
Yeah.
You know, my life coach told me that one of the things, you know, what describes our character or our personality is when you leave the room and what people say about you when you leave the room. But in this scenario, it was when before you had even walked into the room,
Yes.
and how Dorothy was raving
Aw.
about you. And she was like, because there was another Nigerian that we were with, one of the influencers, and when she learned the influencer of Nigerian, the first she said, "Oh my God, there's a Nigerian friend of mine. She's British, but Nigerian. She's coming. She's called Égo. You guys are gonna, you know, it tells so much about you
Yeah,
because
she's
I don't have to
kind.
ask you who you are because you know when you leave the room, what people really say, that's your reputation.
Absolutely.
You can put a billboard and say, oh, vote for me, I'm kind, or whatever, and we will probably vote for you. But what people really think
Yeah,
about you when you
yeah,
leave that room,
yeah,
that's who you really are.
Yeah.
Is it important for, and now specifically to women, ladies who are, whether in small or big tech, in university, starting off the corporate walk, for them to have a tribe of people like you do, have women around you who can hold you accountable, who can walk with you,
Yes.
who can feed you with ideas, read this book, you know, go to this conference, invest in this, who can help you lead the way to be a better woman in the corporate world.
Yeah, I think it's important. So, you know, I talked about managing up. I talked about, you know, being intentional about solving problems. When you do that, your network expands, your circle of influence expands, you get noticed. And, you know, I call them, and, you know, this is stolen with pride. I don't know where I heard it.
Yeah.
Board of advisors. I have board of advisors, both in the workplace and outside the workplace. So trusted family, friends, male and female alike, to say, and you have to be vulnerable though. You have to be able to be vulnerable to get to that point where you say, here's what I'm going through. What should I do? Or what do you think? You've been there. How should I handle this situation? But I think it's important. But be careful and intentional, because what you want people who are rooting for you, advocates, sponsors, mentors, who care for your well-being. And, you know, you need a balance, be it life coach, career coach, relationship coach, I don't know, parental coach, whatever it is. But surround yourself with people who will lift you up. And it could be those who tell you the truth, like, you know, you keep doing this. You need to do something different because you can't do the same things and expect different results.
Yeah.
Right?
I've always always sort of, I learned this, I think probably even yesterday when I realized something about myself, where I've always been very self-dependent. You know, everything I must have an answer to. And I've been very open over the last couple of years, allowing people to tell me, you know, write a song this way. Let's change the lyrics to this. Let's make a move here. You know, do this kind of a video. You know, being very open to listening and just being okay that people can actually advise because it comes from a place of love. Because one of the things that I realized was I have a lot of people who tell me, Anto, there's a song that I've recorded, I'd love you to listen to it. And I never comment on because for me, it beats the point as to giving a comment when you are already at the end of the process. And really, the puppy eyes, it's more of like, please validate me. Not really tell me what I should do, because if I did tell you what to do, you immediately call me an enemy. And probably your next song will be very powerful because I'll be the subject of your song.
Yes, exactly.
My enemies are all around me.
Exactly.
I wasn't an enemy. I was just telling you what you didn't want to hear, but what you needed to hear. I have a new name for you. I just found it. Égo Obi.
It's OBI.
OBI.
Yeah, A is my middle name.
Oh, so OBI, Égo Obi. But now, Igbo, but with an A at the end. The middle name comes at the end. The Igbo, they're not Igbo. Igbo is now either because you're called Égo Obi. And these are either your internal or international board of advisors. See what I did there? See what I did?
Yes. International Board of Advisors.
So now you're Igbos. You're like, are you Yoruba or Igbo?
Igbo.
You see, everything works out. And then if you put a G, they're your G's. You're my G's.
Yes.
This is like now youth slang. There's a Gen Z there.
Okay.
He's telling us all about Gen Zs today.
Okay.
I mean, I love that. I'm learning so much from you. I feel like I should not be just chatting you up of a nonsense on WhatsApp. I'm asking you,
I enjoy
Ego, I want to change the world. What should I do? You're a sage.
I have the answer for you.
Yeah, you're a sage.
Seek first to understand.
Seek first to understand.
Then be understood.
Then be understood.
Stephen Covey, not me.
Yeah, but is it because you read a lot? Your interactions? The thing is that I feel people don't like this kind of attention on them. It's very un-African of us. When someone tells you you're a sage, you're so smart. I love how you give advice. People feel very like
uncomfortable. Yeah.
We're told, as Africans, don't be the one shouting in the room. But it again, it's a reputation. It's what I see in you. Where do you get a lot of this balance? Where is it from? Because we're all flawed. We're not here to discuss our flaws. Whatever. But where do you get a lot of this centering from?
I think there's a lot. So there's reading, there's books, there's interacting with people such as yourself. There's, just kind of paying attention to what's going on around you and filtering, right? Because you get to a point where you know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So I think it was maybe 20 as we came out of COVID, 2022-ish. Maybe late 2021. Somehow this prayer came to me, and it was prayer, I don't know, manifestation, affirmation. Any person, place, thing, or situation that doesn't serve me, be removed from me, right? So basically, that means if I'm reading something, for example, I'm able to tune in to what serves me in whatever I'm reading or whatever I'm listening to. And I'm intentional about not watching crap. I don't really watch TV. I'm intentional about what I watch. And if I'm not aware of the content, for example, and I start watching it and I feel an unease in my spirit, I just switch it off. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. So I think it's a combination, learning from people, my colleagues, my friends, my family, people I meet, books, or education. I think education as well, and then going deep. I remember I was talking to Dorothy last week on Friday because we had a mindfulness session at work. And what we were talking about is a lot of people are well read, but not. Some people sometimes don't go the extra mile. So if I know I'm talking about something and there's some facts that I need to gather or like evidence to support. For example, InstaDeep was acquired, a great AI startup, right? Acquired an African startup, right? I can say that, but you give more weight to what you're sharing when you share the details. How much for?
Exactly.
Right? So it's something I've always known about. But then I thought, what if the question comes up? And I went and I read up about it, who bought it, how much it was bought for, because I was on a panel. And it actually did come up as an example, right? So it's that intentionality about reading, learning, and knowing what suits, what works,
Imagine even a small kid, your niece or nephew, looking up to you like you're the bearer of all information.
I know.
And they're like, auntie, I heard about, this startup and you know how much I love tech. Like, how much do you think they made? Do you know how joyous it is if you mention, even if it's a ballpark figure, but you're within the, and you say, it's like 3 billion Kenyan shillings, that's like $30 million. And how just feeling the information, how good it makes you feel.
I know.
That's
and,
powerful.
And Google helps.
Thank
God for Google.
Thank God for Google. So don't say I didn't know. Google it, please.
Google it.
Don't say you didn't know. We're getting towards the end of a conversation because this will never end. Because, but do you ever, one of the things I want to know from you, do you ever pat yourself on the back and say, my God, I've gone through a lot.
I have.
My goodness, I've suffered, I have won, I have persevered. You know what? Good for you.
Yeah,
and
I
you
do.
decided to indulge. Remember, like when I came to your office, and I was trying to eat all the healthy things, and you guys are like, "What are you doing? Eat
Chocolate.
eat anything. Don't be too stuck up in can I have granola? Eat anything." And I was like,
Anything, yeah.
"By the way, I'm gonna eat it."
I do because, like I said earlier, I come from a place of gratitude. I'm really grateful for where I am. We talked about the cancer. Exactly a year leading up to the cancer, I lost 3 members of my family, right? And then not too long after my mom died, I had cancer.
So sorry.
And then, health challenges along the way from my 20s, right?
Yeah.
So I've reached a place where it's like rewarding yourself. So for me, I take self-care, self-love, I take it very seriously. So I have self-care Sundays. Sundays, I go for a massage. I go to my happy places. And I feel so blessed to be in Kenya or Nairobi, or Kenya in general, because I love nature, I love water, I love greenery, and I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah.
So a happy place for me, for example, could be to drive to Shamba Cafe and just sit and just be there, or go to Karura Forest, or go for a massage.
Yeah.
So I pat myself on the back all the time because if not now, when? If not you, who?
Yeah.
Right? So what am I working for?
Yeah.
And it's that appreciation and contentment. Because we could be in a place where we say, I just need to go one extra, then I will enjoy life. My motto really is to love the life I live and live the life I love.
Oh, I love it. And speaking of love, you are probably the biggest fan, probably even a shareholder. I wouldn't even be shocked if you have tried to buy this club. The number one fan. I know Kenyans say, no offense, but Kenyans like, I love Man U, I love Man City. And sometimes it's probably because your brother loves Man City, so you love Man U just out of spite. There's no deeper spiritual connection. Bro, Égo Obi, Igbo, she loves Manchester City. It's not even a joke. So this is us in a van. Thanks to Google and Dorothy Oko, we're going to Mlango Farm, and using Google Lens to learn more about species and plants and flora and fauna. And it's as simple as, going to your Google application, turning on the lens, and you could search using a leaf or a root, and you know exactly what the plant is. So we're doing that and enjoying that and sharing that experience with people. So we're in the bus. Égo has spoken a couple of times. I'm here. This is how we became friends, I think. I think I forced her to get the tropical because, this is the most Kenyan thing you do when you're in a bus. You eat tropical. So she's like, okay, this is interesting. Until somebody said something, I can't wait for the Arsenal game today. Hey, Égo turned. Arsenal what? Manchester City is the best team in the world. And all of us were like, who is this? You see how people are smiling? See? You see? He's like, ukweli, it's true. So she literally, because we were like, she's a boss. She threw the boss title away from the window. Man City, I don't want to hear you talk about Man City. And she even told the lady, I think it was a lady or a guy, told them, wait till we are light. I'll explain to you why Man City is the best city in the world. So why is Man City the best city in the world?
Okay,
the
so
best
club
in the world.
Okay, so what I would say is, so
look at, he's just laughing.
Okay,
he's on the floor.
So we're very humble. We're not.
This is the one time, by the way, I can't speak.
We're very humble, and we're not pompous like our cousins on the red side of Manchester.
By the way, I've been beaten every day.
Right?
Look at Mboya is saying, no, at least these guys are not that humble, right?
Anyway,
I'm only keeping quiet.
We don't talk too much. So, okay, so I'm
only quiet because we're beaten so much. I didn't even come with a bag you bought
You're
for me.
number 7.
Because I'm not bringing the bag.
You're 7. You're 7 on the league table. And those who are 1, 2, 3, it's only a matter of time.
Before you knock them
Right.
out.
So yeah, Arsenal, Liverpool,
not
I don't know.
Bombas.
Right. So
Yeah.
and it's really only a 5-point difference between the top and us number 4. So
Yeah.
we give you space. So
Yeah.
anyway, this love for Manchester City began in the 80s.
Yeah.
Manchester City was not really they were not a favored club, right?
Yeah.
Because Manchester United, very noisy,
Yeah.
very arrogant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they kind of call us the noisy neighbors. So
Yeah.
most people I knew were Manchester United fans, including my family. But my dad was a City fan.
Yeah.
And this actually speaks to my nature, my personality. Man City got a rap all the time. They were the underdog. And just because they were picked on all the time,
Yeah.
I'm supporting this team.
I remember growing up, I never used to hear about Man City at
Exactly.
all. It was always the big four.
Arsenal, Tottenham,
yeah,
Man United, and Chelsea. Yeah. So I was in Manchester, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of see that.
So you pick the guy who everyone picks on?
Yes.
I root for
and
that
you know
one.
where that comes from, though?
Yeah.
I told you about, when I was younger, taunting, bullying.
Yeah.
So as a result, I have this mother figure where if there's one person standing to one side, nobody's speaking to them, even as adults in conferences and things, I still go and I make friends and make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Someone who's new, to the company.
Yeah.
You can see there's a bit of a nervous look. I go make them feel okay.
Yeah.
Where are you from? What team are you on? I'll introduce them to people, right?
Exactly.
So same thing. They were the underdogs, and just started. They had a really small stadium on City Road. Old Trafford, by the way, is not in Manchester. Just so you know, it's on the outskirts. It's in Old Trafford. It's not in Manchester. But anyway, that's how I got supporting them, and they did very badly for a long time, but just kind of staying close. I would go to games because their tickets were really cheap, whereas the Man United, only the elite and rich could actually go watch their matches. The regular people like me couldn't actually afford to.
Yeah.
And then, through time with, good managers, they started to rise up the ranks. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're a glory hogger," only because they're doing well.
But you've not known me all my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't know, right?
Exactly.
So I love the game, and for a long time I didn't go because in those times a woman couldn't actually go. My husband supported Chelsea.
Yeah.
I supported City. I couldn't go because a woman wouldn't go on their own.
Exactly.
But that's
Just for
changing
safety,
now,
yeah.
right? It's changing,
Yeah.
and football is such a leveler because you have that one thing in common. You go to a game on your own. City scores and everybody's hugging each other, and I enjoy the atmosphere. And actually, the stadium is like Etihad is like 10 minutes walk from my dad's house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call up Juma. Juma, please come and sit right next to me here, because I feel like Juma he's shake. How much more time do we have? Like how many minutes? Juma, come here. Like 5. You have no. Don't bring the chair. Just come sit next to me here. You just come and sit right here. So before as we get ready to finish and get to know about the kind of legacy that Égo wants to leave, or that she is preparing. We're all on the way out, but you seem to not concur with Égo as Man City as the best. Be very careful. You may just go viral for a lack of information. Here, take the microphone. I don't want to be a part of this.
Okay.
This bloodbath.
What team do you support?
I support Arsenal.
Okay, good. Well done. You guys are number 1.
Thank you.
39 points.
Sounds so sarcastic.
You guys
I know,
are number
I know.
1. Yeah? 39 points.
Yeah.
Facts.
We're 4th, 34. I think we'll do well. We don't shout from the rooftop. If you say Arsenal's the best, great. I applaud you. But the end of the season tells. Remember what happened last year? Remember?
Yeah, I do.
Exactly. So, enough said.
Okay,
What is
okay.
your rebuttal?
Okay, I think comparing Arsenal last season team to this season's team, I can say we're going to do better.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're looking at 3 trophies already.
Okay,
Because I
okay.
know from the point of Manchester City being the current best club in the world, from the performances, that's how football is.
I know.
Currently,
Yeah.
Man City is the best
Yes.
football club in the world because we tend to compare football with the trophies won.
Yes,
and,
yes.
The amount of maybe success from the players and the stats. Football is all about stats. So currently, I'll say we have at least the hope compared to last season.
Okay.
Of
Last
coming-
season, the treble for us, yeah?
Yeah. Because what I know is Man City can do a treble this season,
Okay.
but they can't go trophyless.
Okay.
So either from Premier League or maybe Champions League,
Champions League, yeah?
they'll get something.
Okay. All
I
right.
called you here to come and explain this scenario, only for you to look at Ego's eyes and then go completely afraid. Just go, please.
I'm not scared.
Just leave.
Okay,
It's
let's
not-
talk about Manchester.
No.
It's no.
Anyway,
Not
Juma, stay with me here.
Okay, okay.
Ego, what is your legacy? What do you intend to, when you look back, at this interview 3, 4, 5 years when you and I are in London enjoying tea at the Savoy or something?
Yes.
What are we gonna look back and say we've been able to achieve?
So for me, personally, I want to be remembered for somebody who's impacted lives positively through my time, my talent, my resources, and my life experiences. And for my positive energy to spread joy, right? And warm souls. No
I
pun
love
intended.
it. My goodness. What better words than that? Nothing better has been said from the number one Man City. When you spoke, I was like, but would you want to be a commentator, by the way, for just for football generally?
Yeah, maybe that's the next.
Yeah, I feel like we need to have like a platform, a space for professional corporate people to talk about football when we see a very different side of them. Ego, you're such a light.
Thank you.
Really, really love you. You're such a light. You're a beautiful person in and out. And I thank you so much for making time
Thank you.
and for schooling these Arsenalians.
Thank you for having me.
This guy came, I thought he was going to come with Arsenal, but Man City. Then he looked into your eyes and he's like, yes, Man City is the best team in the world. Bro,
I only argue from the perspective of being a footballer.
But you agreed that Man City is the best club in the world.
I can't deny that for now.
Unlock Your Soul podcast on Instagram, TikTok, on YouTube. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and tell everybody to hear more about Ego. Because I tell you, when you listen to Ego, it's time for your ego to leave the room. Unlock your soul. And anyway, now that we have established that Man City is the biggest and the best
Club currently.
Qualified.
Yeah, oh my God, look at people are like, hey, Ego, whatever power you have as far as football is concerned, please take this and make money out of it. I know the Nigerian in you can do it.
I can do
I
it.
feel like you need to speak for like corporate, professionals and be like, listen, we also can make noise. The Rumi word for ego. And like I told you, when ego speaks, your ego leaves. So this one is so short and so powerful. If you are irritated by every rap, how will your mirror be polished?
How will it be polished? Is that a question?
No. It's a question.
Exactly.
But
So
something
yeah,
to
yes.
think about.
Yeah.
And it speaks through to
exactly.
to
That's
everything
so
that
true.
you
I
are.
love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
You are never phased because you've allowed every irritation, and irritation here to mean every consequential and inconsequential thing that happens in your life to polish you.
I love that.
So you can
actually.
see yourself
It makes
better.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So
Yes.
have a great
Thank you.
mirror day.
Thank
Look at
you.
yourself in the mirror. But it was supposed to end. But the reason why I found this very powerful is because in Japan, for example, there's this Instagram page I was checking out. They have, how Japanese do things like way over the top. Like you can go up the stairs, but it has the number of calories you're burning as you go up the stairs. So to curb the number of deaths by suicide, they have placed, instead of placing people to actually help people to not jump, they've
put
placed mirrors in the train stations. Because they say that when you're about to die by suicide, before you jump into the rails, if you have a look at yourself and you really look into yourself, when you look at the mirror, you realize maybe I should not do this.
That's amazing.
Maybe there's a bit of hope for me. So
That's profound.
Goes back to if you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror be polished? So keep polishing that mirror, man.
Thank you.
That's that.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Unlock your soul. I want to remind you to unlock your soul with Anto Neosoul. All you gotta do is make sure you like every video on this platform. Please comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and let us unlock our souls.